Hello and thanks for joining me. Well, I'm still in the process of adapting this wood lathe for CNC. When I made the lathe, I made the spindle just a little bit longer than my Logan. And all my Logan chucks fit on here except for one, and it doesn't go on far enough. So I got to cut the spindle off. I'm going to make it the same as my Logan. And while I'm about it, I'm going to make some of these caps. I go over the end of the spindle. This is one I messed up. I messed up because I went too deep on the threads. It was kind of a guess because I didn't have anything to test the threads with. So while I got the spindle out, I'm going to make these, and then I'll have a way to test those threads for a fit. But it'll be interesting to take this lathe apart. I got tapered bearings in it, and I want to see if the grease is, with no seals. And I got dust covers, but I want to see if the grease is clean and if it's still got enough grease in there. Anyway, let's get started. Just briefly, this spindle adapter we're making will have a stud on it like that, and I'll be able to turn stuff like this, wood pulleys, wood discs, and make them exactly the same with CNC. I'm going to make 3 or 4 of them, and they're all going to be the same depth this way. It'll make programming the CNC a little easier. Anyway, let's get started. This is like a clamping threaded collar. I got to take the bolt out of it, out of the clamp, to get that dust cover off. I made that a very good fit because I wanted to keep wood dust out of that. Like I said before, there's no seal there. So this unscrews. That's what sets the tension for my tapered bearings. Looks a little dry. Before I put it back together, I'll probably take that cap off and that bearing too to make sure it's got plenty of grease in it. I think I'll probably use my steady rest, put it right there to cut that end off. There we go. Got a little bit of play in there. Okay, I want to take off about 150 thousandths. So I'm going to run that right up to that. Lock my carriage. Reset my dial to 0. Now I'll know when I got 150 thousandths off. Yeah, I made 4 of them. That way I can change between operations and have the same starting point on the CNC. I'm going to make these all the same length. I'm going to face off the shortest one and then make them all the same. Okay, that's the shortest one. The actual length is not that critical, but I need them to all be the same. So I've locked my carriage there, and I'll put the longer ones in there and trim them to length. Well, now comes a very long and boring process. Boring. Okay, I got to bore these holes to 1.375. They're 1 inch right now. And I got to cut a relief in the back. That's an area to pull out of the threads. Notice there's an unthreaded portion back there. It's larger in diameter. So I'm going to be doing that. Once I get one established to the right size, I can reset my dials and then just do them all. Now I'm going to cut that undercut in the bottom. And right now I'm at the bottom of the hole with this carriage top, with the carriage hitting the carriage top. So I'm going to start cutting and then judging by this gap, which is about 3/8 of an inch, 5/16. That's my undercut. I'm cutting it about 3/8 of an inch wide and about 1/8 of an inch deep. I can't really get a good camera angle on it, but that tool is hitting the bore. That's how I know I've gotten deep enough on my undercut. About it right there. Some of that noise you hear is the chips getting caught between the boring bar and the bore. Okay, I'm getting ready to cut internal threads. If I cut internal threads with the compound set at this angle, take a good close look at the tool here. Every time I make a pass, I'm going in and I'll back the compound out for the next pass. See the tool moving? It's cutting deeper on this edge of the tool and not this one. Okay, if I'm feeding that way, that's not good because the existing threads from the previous pass will push this tool. And there's backlash to the carriage, and that backlash will be taken out, and it's better to have the carriage feeding against this half of the tool. So we've got to angle this either this way or this way. Either one works. This way I would feed in the normal direction. This way here I would feed out. to go deeper in the threads. Let's put it this way, and then I'll show you what happens on the tool. Okay, I got it set at the right angle. Move the tool parallel to the bed. Now if we zoom in on that tool, every time I feed, it goes tighter on this side. You're not increasing the depth on this edge, you're only increasing the depth on the leading edge. And because the carriage is going that way, you're powering against the cut instead of the previous pass threads pulling the carriage. So this is how you get, it'll work the other way, but you're relying on the friction of the carriage to hold the weight of this whole carriage to hold back the threads from pulling the tool. Hopefully that made some sense. Okay, right now I got the tool set parallel to the bed. I'm going to go all the way in, let the tool hit the bottom, and then set my carriage stop loosely. I don't really want, should never feed against a carriage stop. I'm just using it for a visual reference. That way I know I'll be in that undercut I cut. Maybe it'll be more clear when I get started. We're going to be threading even number threads. This is 8 threads per inch, so I can throw it in on any one of those marks. If I was cutting uneven threads, like 13 threads per inch, I would have to throw it in on one of the big marks or one of the little marks only. And I'd have to repeat that. Whatever I started on, I'd have to do it each time, but I can throw it in on any one of those marks now. Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm coming in and I'm making that tool just barely touch the inside of that bore. Okay, I'm just barely touching there. Now I'm going to reset my dial to 0. That will be where I come back to every time. Now I feed a little bit with the compound. I'm going to go 10 on this first pass. I could probably go a lot more. I'm going to throw it in on a mark. Go in, back to 0. Go another 10 thousandths. Throw it in on a mark. Now I'm going by this distance right here to my carriage stop to tell me when to stop. But I'm also going by the sound. And I don't know if you can hear it on the camera or not. You hear it quit cutting? Okay, the deeper you go, the smaller the cut you can take. I'm going 5 thousandths a pass now. And if you made the bore the right size, and I think this one's a little bit over, you can go until the threads are sharp and then test fit it. Oh, what's going on? Too deep. Shoot. Yeah, good thing I made 4 of these things. I think the bore was a little bit big on this one, and I wish I don't know. Wish I hadn't gone quite as deep. That might work. We'll have to see if it goes on repeatedly the same. Yeah, Chuck goes on good. He's going great too. Perfect. What I'll do, and I haven't decided what to do yet, or what I'm going to do just yet, is put a stud on there. I don't know how long yet. I'll thread it and screw it into that. And that way I can bolt wood to it to turn. Okay, I ended up with 3 good ones. 3, I'm going to call them an adapter. I went oversized on the threads on one of them. Anyway, I've got 3 5/8 rods that I'm going to turn down to look similar to this. I'm going to put threads right here, and I'll counterbore the end of this adapter so that this ledge right here fits flush with the surface. That way when I bolt wood onto this adapter, it'll be flush. Anyway, that's what I'm going to make now. Okay, I'm going to use a GTN3 insert, which is meant for cutoff and grooving. And this works really good if you need to just take down a diameter for a short distance there. I'm going to take a 1/8 inch off, which is 1/8 inch on both sides, and reduce that to 3/8 of an inch. And that's what my thread size is going to be going into my adapter. I'm punching right there. I reset my dial and go in 125,000. Okay, hopefully that's strong enough right there. Now I'm going to turn down this whole diameter here to 3/8 of an inch, and the other two I'm going to make 5/16 and maybe 1/2 inch. I don't really know, probably 1/2 inch and 5/16, but this one I'm going to make 3/8. 3/8 is what I'll use most of the time, I think. I'm going to start, leave that 1/8 inch shoulder there, and do the same thing. I need to go down 125,000. Okay, this might be ugly. I got a really dull 3/4 inch end mill. It's the only 3/4 inch I got with a 1/2 inch shank that'll fit in my chuck. Two. Fortunately, it doesn't have to be concentric. Well, there we got my 5/16, 3/8 and 1/2. And they all fit in here. Just like that. Now all I got to do is cut some threads right there. I think I'm going to do that with a, I may cut the 1/2 inch on the lathe, but I think I'm going to cut the 3/8 and the 5/16 with a die. And the reason I'm going to do that is because with the die, I don't have to cut an undercut to pull out when I'm cutting my threads. Oh, I messed up. I don't know if you see what I did there. I threw it in on the wrong mark on the threading dial. Odd threads per inch, I have to throw it in on an even mark or an odd mark, but I got to do it the same every time, and I did not do that. Well, I'm going to shorten that and thread the end of it. It'll still be usable. It won't be as usable as what I was hoping, but it'll still work. I swapped out threading tools because I can get closer to the cup with this one. Don't think I'll have to support the end on that. I didn't drill the center. Okay, large mark. Ah, perfect. I like it. Looks good. Okay, I'll probably end up Loctiting those into there. This is how this works. And I'll come up with some good spacers. The reason I made it long is I can turn 4 pulleys at one time by having that extra length. Or I could make like a candle holder thing that bolts onto there. Just got a variety of uses. I like it. Well, this is all leading up to making this lathe CNC. I'm hoping about 2 weeks from now I'll be able to demonstrate it. But that kind of relies on me picking up CNC and G-code and all that stuff. So, but anyway, be sure and subscribe and ring the bell. That way you'll get notifications on upcoming videos. And but I'm really pleased with this. That wraps it up for today.